Hey everybody, Joker here impersonating Mr. X. Really excited because today I get to be the 87th person to review this Queen Studios 1/3 scale Joker. Hey guys, as I said in the intro, I'm super excited to review this even though everybody and their mom has. So I actually want to settle a controversy really quick. Many people wonder, how do they determine in what order who gets what collectible? Now, I actually PO'd this on day one, and I just received him today. Probably the last person in the world to receive him. And I am a super famous YouTube... Oh, okay, not really. I'm a well-known... Okay, I'm a weirdo who has a little bit of a channel here, and still, I don't get priority. It's always kind of a mixed bag. You never know when you're going to receive the collectible, but nonetheless, I'm ecstatic to bring him to the collection. I'm ecstatic to share him with you guys, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at this 1/3 scale Joker piece from Queen Studios. And this, of course, is modeled off of the late and great Heath Ledger from the second installment of the Dark Knight trilogy, where Christian Bale played Batman. And not only am I equally excited to have this piece because it's a great representation of Heath Ledger, and as you saw in the intro, I actually have a bust that Queen Studios made a long time ago, but it wasn't licensed, so shh. But I have their Christian Bale Batman on order as well, this piece right here. And I'm actually getting the custom base where I can sit both of them together. So actually, after this review, I'm going to put this base right here back in the box, and we'll talk about that with design. Now, believe it or not, I've actually owned another Heath Ledger piece. You can check out this piece right here. The premium format from Sideshow Collectibles was okay, but it was nothing compared to this. I want to say this is like my 7th or 8th piece from Queen Studios with about 5 more on order, and it seems like Queen Studios can't fail. So as we dive into the deep review today, we're going to find out if that's true or not. Because truth be told, other than assembling him, I haven't looked that close at him yet. Now, before we dive into the review, I do want to address Heath Ledger as the Joker. And I've discussed this in quite a few videos before. Is Heath Ledger the best Joker that was ever played? So first of all, I think Joaquin Phoenix did an amazing job, but to me, it really wasn't the DC version of the Joker. So he's not in the running. Jared Leto, believe it or not, I liked him as the Joker. I think he was nothing compared to Heath Ledger, or of course the great Jack Nicholson. But I've talked about this before. I think Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger both played crazy, maniacal Jokers, but they played them in very different ways. Where Jack Nicholson was like a child, he really didn't know what right from wrong was. Where Heath Ledger, he did know what right from wrong was, he just didn't care. I think that's what made his performance so iconic. Now, a lot of people speculate because he passed away shortly after the film, before it was even released actually, that gave a little bit more persona to the character and the portrayal he did in the movie. I don't think so. I think the portrayal would be just as famous today if he was alive and well. But a big part of Queen Studios is they do these movie pieces and they try to get them as accurate as possible. So this is the deluxe version, which we're going to talk about. It actually has real rooted in hair. There was another option out there we're going to talk about in design, but first on this piece, we're actually going to start with the concept of this. And what they did is they took this straight out of the movie with a little bit of their own flair on it. And what's interesting is Sideshow Collectibles is actually coming out with the second Heath Ledger Joker that is decently similar to this. This piece right here, and I actually had this on order because I do appreciate it shows him in the jail cell. But I was lucky enough to see both of these in person at New York Comic Con, both the Sideshow one and the Queen Studios one. But let's take a look at what they did for this piece. So first on the base here, they did some really interesting stuff. They almost did some stylized concept stuff, and some of it, honestly, I don't even understand. You have the nameplate. I absolutely hate nameplates, so I'm thankful I'm getting a different base where this can be displayed with Batman. And then on the sides of this, you have this rectangular diagonal pattern, and I don't understand what that's about. Obviously, they're meant to give him height. And then in the corner, you almost have the bat signal carved out here. I am actually not feeling this base at all. It almost seems like they tried to go too abstract, too complicated, and honestly, I'm not going to spend time staring at this base. The only part of the base I do like is the top, which you'll see briefly now, and we'll look closer at paint and sculpt, but it looks like a real wooden floor. Now, I can't imagine the jail cell or the interrogation room, where this is supposedly from, actually had a wooden floor, but it still looks really nice. And what I love about this piece is it is incredibly different. He is sitting down. And granted, he's not in a throne, but we don't see any pieces of characters sitting down unless they are on a throne. His clothes are mixed media, which means it's actual fabric. Now, as you move up, he's in a very stoic position, a very maniacal position, kind of an evil position. As you know, he actually got arrested on purpose. So here you can really see him planning, really see him thinking, and I love that part of him. He's patiently waiting, and it just adds to the more sinister aspect of him. Some of the things you're going to see on both his hands and his face, the only sculpted parts of this, is he's very bruised, very beat up. You remember there was a big chase scene, and then Batman beat the shit out of him in the interrogation room. And the expression to me is perfect. It's very maniacal. Now, one thing with concept, I like to talk about the likeness. How good is the likeness on this? And I think the hair plays a big role in that. You remember that was a big part of it when I reviewed the actual Joker bust. I haven't played with dolls for about 2 years, so I'm not going to be good at stylizing this hair, but you can definitely tell that's a little bit crusty. There's a little bit stylization in there. And I know from these rooted hair pieces that the hair can make a huge difference. But I think the likeness is very good. I don't think it's 100%, which kind of surprises me because Queen Studios does an amazing job with likeness. I would say it's almost there at about 95%. So concept on this piece, I like the fact that he's sitting. I like the fact this is a major turning point in the movie. I don't like the abstract stuff they did with the base, and I don't think the likeness is 100%. So I think the concept's only a 3 out of 5 on this. And if you're new to the channel, that is a good score, but clearly it's not an amazing score. Now we're going to talk about design, and I think first thing with design is we'll look at the unboxing and assembly. Box was tall and skinny, not too big. There was an art box as well. Different pictures on the front and back. You guys know I'm not a huge art box guy. Classic foam with Queen Studios straps, and it was just one layer. You can see it right here wrapped up and then unwrapped as well. 4 or 5 different pieces, not too much. So pretty simple, which I appreciate, packed with care like Queen Studios always does, but they didn't give me a brush and glove like they usually do for their $3,000 pieces, which I'm okay with. They did have a certificate of authenticity, as they always do. Check it out. Special edition, that means it's the rooted hair of this Joker piece. Talks a little bit about the movie, and this is number 29. Let's measure him really quick here. So the widest point of the base is 13 inches, the bench is 10. And then the height of the entire piece is just over 22. The base is about 4 1/4. So if you're going to remove the base, which is how I'm going to temporarily display it, that gives you an idea. And I just realized I didn't do the depth. The depth is 10.5, and then this Dark Knight logo sticks out another 3 inches or so. So the nice thing, even though he's a sitting down piece, he still does command a lot of presence. I think the scale is really good. Now one thing, since I just opened him, I'm not sure about. Check this out. It looks like his shoe is falling off. I don't know if this is intentional or not. I haven't watched any other reviews because I purposefully stay away from those until I have it in place. If it's intentional, that is fantastic. It adds more to the story. It adds more to the character. It's kind of a little Easter egg. If not, I need to try and get his shoe on. For now, I think I'm just going to leave it because I don't want to break anything. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments if that is intentional or not. So really, that's it with design. Very simple piece. They didn't need to go really elaborate. One thing I love is they created that new base so you can put the Batman right behind him. I think that was a fantastic idea. So for that, because they didn't make a sitting down pose very boring, and the new base, I give the design a 4 out of 5. Now let's dive into paint and sculpt. Now we're going to do a video on this piece because I'm kind of unsure where to put it.
That's what she said.
Alright, so let's dive in and see if the paint and sculpt on the base is better than some of this artistic concept I'm not digging. And really quick looking at it, you can tell it's not. So this looks very plasticky to me. I don't know if it's the paint or the lines in it, but I'm just not a fan of this. Granted, I'm going to display this a little bit lower so I would never see this. One thing I do like is how this is kind of a bat signal right here. Again, they tried to do something a little bit different. Maybe there's a concept that I'm just too ignorant to see what all of this is. But interesting. Same thing with the nameplate. Could have totally done without this. I don't like the fact that it says Dark Knight Trilogy. Heath Ledger was only talked about. He only acted in the second movie. So they should have just left this off. If you didn't know this was Joker, God help you. Here is the floor. Like I said, well, I don't think it's accurate to the movie. It looks nice. Looks like real wood. The paint's on nice. The grain, the sculpt. Here's the mixed media. It looks fantastic. So I guess I take that back. The shoes are fully sculpted. Or I guess they could be considered mixed media. But as you move up, like the socks and the pants, very high quality. Very good feel to them. I like it quite a bit. Same thing with the shirt. You know, I just realized that within doll clothes, there's probably tons of money in that market. And I'd have to watch the movie to see how accurate this outfit is. I know certain parts like the vest and the tie and the pants are, but like the designs on the shirt, I'm not really sure. But it contrasts really well. I think, you know, bringing a Joker into a real life scenario, what he would be like, I think that's what the Dark Knight did. Looks great, even the buckles on the back and the straps. Really quick on the bench here. The bench looks good. Looks like a prison bench. Old, grimy, worn. It's actually considerably heavy. It almost feels like it's actually made out of metal instead of what I'm assuming is polystone. Take a look at his hands. They did a great job on the flesh tones. You'll see it on the neck here in a second. But then almost the bruised and battered hands. You can't tell if this is his blood, which assumably it is because of the accident he was in and then the brawl with Batman. But I like how it's almost purpling and bruising. Looks great. Here's his hair. Again, I'm just not that good of a stylist, but I appreciate the fact that you have that ability. I probably would have wanted sculpted hair because simply I can't design it that well or style it that well. But this has a lot more value, which is why I went with the rooted hair. The same thing with the Batman piece. Now look at the portrait. The portrait, like I said, you can definitely see Heath Ledger, especially in that dark jail scene. But I think the likeness is slightly off. The paint is fantastic. The makeup kind of muddled off. And you see where the black is smeared up. His scars around his face look phenomenal. The skin, almost the texture on the skin. This paint is done really well, and so is the sculpt. Sculpt is incredible as well, like I said, but certain angles like this right here, I don't really see Heath Ledger as much. It's definitely a fantastic piece on so many different levels. I'm just not loving the base, and I wish they had the likeness a little bit more to my liking. All right, so first I want to talk about paint, and I think I'm going to include the clothing or the mixed media of the fabric in the paint. Like I said, that is fantastically done. It seems like it's very high quality, so I really appreciate that. I think the skin tone they used on his neck and his hands look great. I love the bruising, the battered fingers, and then the paint on the actual face I think is phenomenal. Really impressed. The paint on the base is very lacking. I wouldn't say very lacking, but it's nothing compared to Joker himself. So I think I'm going to give the paint a 4 out of 5 on this piece. Really impressed. Now the sculpt, there's not a lot to look at. Base is bench looks great. His portrait, even though the likeness is a little bit off, I think the sculpt of it is done really, really well. So I'm kind of in the middle with all this because realistically, the only things they need to knock out of the park are the portrait and the base. And I think they knocked the portrait out of the park, but not the base. So I think the sculpt's a 3 out of 5, which I know a lot of people will disagree with. But remember, this is just my opinion. But one fantastic thing about this statue is the value. So the retail on this for a 1/3 scale by Queen Studios was $900, which is freaking unheard of. At a minimum, 1/3 scale pieces start around $1,000, $1,100, and usually much higher than that. Sometimes nowadays, $1,700 or $1,800. Value is fantastic. Very low edition size. They made 2 different versions. The first one is this, obviously, one with the rooted hair, and the other is this right here with the sculpted hair. So this is going to be highly sought after. I know it already is. I think the value is a 5 out of 5 on this. Any day of the week you can get your money back, and chances are you can make about 50% more because it's such an iconic performance by Heath Ledger and it's such an iconic part of the movie. So does this statue have the X factor? You know, I was really hoping that it does. And coincidentally, I actually have Prime 1 Studios' Bermejo Joker arriving today. So this arrived yesterday, this arrives today. I don't know which order the reviews have dropped in, but it'll be interesting to see if that beats this. I don't think this is an X statue. I was hoping that it would be. But I really like it. I do. I wonder how it looks in my collection. I think that will actually determine whether it's a 3 or a 4. So this is where I want your help. What would you grade this statue 1 through 5? Would you grade it a 1 as absolute trash? 2, is it ugly? 3, is it very nice? 4, is it a rail? Is it not quite a grail, but a statue people really want? Or 5, is this extreme? You know, put that in the comments below, and the reason I'm asking you to do that is because of this. As a thank you to you guys, we're giving away these 2 exclusive Mortal Kombat statues from Pop Culture Shock Toys. We've already given away this Sub-Zero. It's being shipped to the winner of the 15,000 sub giveaway. Up for grabs at 17,500 subs is this exclusive Scorpion statue. First thing you need to do is make sure you've liked this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. Second thing is, we are going to pick random videos. This is one of those random videos, and insert this segment somewhere. You need to make sure you comment on that video. We are going to pick a random comment from one of said videos, and you will be the winner of this Scorpion statue. But thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. I cannot wait to go put them in the collection to see what it looks like, so make sure to check out the Facebook page if you have not yet. Also hit that Mr. X logo to subscribe, and check out some of these other pieces from Queen and Infinity Studios. Talk to you tomorrow. Take care.